So, I think we finally got it to work. Nice. Let's see. Sorry for the delay, having some technical difficulties getting this all set up, but we'll get started in just a second. Just need to drop some links. Alright. I think folks are starting to get in here. Let's see. You come over here. Alright. Looks like we got some folks in the chat, so that's working. Okay. I think we're good. I think we're all set up. Sorry about that. I had to completely uninstall OBS and reinstall it because it would not connect to YouTube, even though I set it up last night and got it all ready. But I can go ahead and jump into prep. So, as we all saw yesterday and enjoyed some of this crazy drop, ES started the day strong in Q as well. Pushed out of their 30-minute squeezes to get up to the zone that we've been tracking this week and the top of a 2-hour squeeze. ES rejected the daily 8 before it got there. Rejected the daily 8 and quickly turned around, lost this zone, and then started a free fall after it bounced in VWAP and quickly rejected the first Keltner down. So, on a journey that would be kind of a reversion to the mean, it got stuffed at the first mean, and it got stuffed at the first Keltner down from the daily mean. So, hard rejection, almost straight down to the third Keltner. We do have the daily 200 down at 44.22. So yeah, going into today, pretty simple. I say pretty simple, but we do have a 30-minute squeeze, setting up this range that basically aligns with the 200. We have a little zone of support from that drop that we've been somewhat holding. So we've got our target to the downside, the 200, the third Keltner down at 4,400, and to the upside back to 4,480. And if we can get to 4,500, we've got that squeeze top to deal with right at 4,480, and the squeeze bottom right underneath that zone at 4,430. before we get to that 22. So let's see. Do we stuff 4480? Do we drop first, hold this support, and then go to test 4480? We shall see. NQ. Kind of the same story. You had the daily 8, this cyan line, and the daily Keltner, 1 Keltner down from the mean. Created a little zone there, basically. NQ worked up to it, rejects, basically kind of your head and shoulders, and back down. Ultimately firing this 2-hour squeeze down. We are now below the 200, which is not good. So that'll be kind of be the magnet and upside target. We have the same 30-minute squeeze in place, which aligns basically with the overnight highs and lows. And then the Keltners as some targets above and below. We're already pretty much almost tapped 2,000, so I wouldn't be surprised if it wants to retest that during the live session. And like most things, you know, big drop, now we've got a range that we're in. Anytime it gets near the top, I'm going to be looking at puts. Anytime it gets near the bottom, I'll be looking at calls. That kind of game. I am not down quite as hard right now as NQ. So we'll see if maybe it's a rotation into YM that starts to lead us back to the upside. We are below the 200. Kind of the same thing. It is closer to its second Keltner, so we might see the rejection out of it first. If it rejects this Keltner and can't get up to this zone, down to squeeze bottom, and if that gives out, third Keltner way down at about 34,000. Apple. You know, kind of same story on most of these names. We're down under second Keltner. We have third Keltner down below. Once we get to like a third Keltner, we're pretty oversold and extended to the downside, and we need to take a break. But it's Friday, it's OPEX. We maybe shouldn't be expecting some huge recovery or huge sell-off. We could just settle into this zone today. Work our way up, work our way down, and slowly wedge into nothing on OPEX. So just something to be aware of. But we do have some nice zones in place. So can we hold this 162? Work our way up to 165. We'll see where this Keltner opens today, but we might already be on top of it. So yeah, if we can hold this range, 162 to 163, we can head higher. Apple will be a great gauge for tech. So a little bit to keep an eye on there. AMD. One thing I'll point out, when we started the week, and we were calling out these puts, we always provide the put and the call, but now, as the week has progressed and everything is down so much, many of these calls are in the money. A whole lot of them. So, and a lot of them did hit beast. So kind of had to readjust for today on the watch list and what we're outputting. And you might notice that there's a little bit less today as far as PTs. After such a dramatic drop, a lot of call beast numbers we are way below because we were living life way up here. So I provided what seemed still very useful and valid for today. If you're wanting any other strikes, feel free to reach out. But, Google, Amazon, a lot of those names have fallen so much that the calls we would be looking at now used to be way in the money. Now they are not. And so their beasts are higher numbers than their current price. So it doesn't provide that much help or edge. But anyway, to AMD, kind of the same as Apple. We'll see it open where this Keltner steps down to, but if it's about the same, we're pretty much chopping around it right now. Let's see if it can hold 120, 119. We have a key level at that 122.50 that it could get hung up at, but if it can get through that, could see a nice run back to 125 on some recovery pops. Amazon. Oh, epic drop yesterday. 3160, over 100 points. So Amazon is outside of its third Keltner. If we are going to see some cover pops, this could be a good candidate for today because it could just get a dramatic snapback. But again, Amazon's been so weak lately. Like any pop gets sold off. So not a huge focus for me, but I might keep an eye on the 3050s, 3100s. But overall, not a huge focus for me today. We'll see if we can hold this 2982. Get back above 3,000 and start the climb. POC's still way above, which surprises, but looks like it's been pretty piss poor volume on Amazon lately. Facebook. This was an epic short yesterday. I know some of us hit in the room. AP called it out in his alerts for a daily double. It ended up being much more than a daily double. But it was a great overall thesis because we had so many squeezes intact. And so that can give us a great guide as far as once we arrive at the squeeze top, we're always looking at the put side for the reversal. Because being close to the top, if you were going to play calls, you get them here to play to the top. You don't get them at the top to break out. The tops and bottoms can always be good reversal points. So when the market was looking strong, Facebook was topping out 1, 2, 3, 4 rejects of this zone and this squeeze top. So I know AP called that out. We got in, I think it was the 320s and the 315s. Ended up being a great trade. And yeah, reject, squeeze top, fall down, daily 8 consolidation for a second, dip below, one last retest, and then down we go. Always something to keep in mind. If you miss the original short, getting it, the short off the top cloud, look around for what the next targets are, because you can see some consolidation. You can see these retests, and I bet if you go look at the 315s, the 320s, the puts from yesterday, right at around 2 o'clock, you could have still picked them up for a darn good price, as it looks like it's going to flush, does this quick retest, and then dumps. They love to do that to shake out the stops before the big move. So, just a few tips on a trade that we took yesterday in the room. Google down so much. Underneath it's 200. Underneath it's a daily. Oh, I'm sorry. I maybe did not cover what the plan was for Facebook today. So we bounced for a second at this zone, but then just tore right through all of them. So right now that's kind of the upside target. We are back at the bottom of this daily squeeze, daily compression cloud. So it would, basically be a play on, are we going to see a cover pop today? Hold this daily cloud bottom around this 315. If you swung the 320s or 315s, you're going to see people locking up profit, which can cause it to rise. So yeah, if we can hold 313, 315, depending on where we ultimately end up opening, and this overall low of 310, we can make the journey back up to these zones. It looks like the second Keltner is probably going to be towards the bottom of these zones, so if we start to hit these zones, it would also be a good time to gauge some puts to see if we go back to retest 310. So it's always, going to be if this then that. If we look strong and are moving, it's a long up to these zones. If it can't get through these zones, it's a short back down to low. If we open and it starts dipping down to low, it's a long back to VWAP and back to these zones if it can hold the 310 and that pre-market, that after hours low. So, on to Google, like everything else, down to below its 200, rejected the daily 8 yesterday. A lot of things lining up on a lot of names the same way. So yeah. Can we hold the low that we set? 2630, 2640, basically, that zone, if we can hold that. Try to push our way back through this Keltner and the 200 and might get an acceleration back up. To the squeeze bottom and psychological 2700. So I might keep an eye on the 2700 calls. Again, I didn't provide those with the Bs and the PTs just mainly because the numbers are so high and we are so now far below that we're below beast zones. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. But just let me know if you want any specific thing. I'll take a look and explain it if needed. But, as you look through the list, look at the Keltner channel position. I think one or two folks asked about this. It tells you the position relative to the daily mean. So, for instance, BA is near the daily mean, a little bit above it. Didn't apparently sell off so hard with the market. Here, we'll just go ahead and pull it up. So it was up above, and now it's fallen back to the daily mean. So it did move with the market, but it was leading. Now it's at the daily mean. Does BA get a bounce here on the daily 21 and lead YM today? Possibly. YM is up strong. So we'll see, but that's what the this column tells you is the Keltner channel position on the daily Keltners. And yeah, as you can see, most of tech down at -2, almost -3 on some. It's like banks, JP Morgan, not doing so good. So yeah, we are a bit oversold on a lot of tech names. We could see recovery pop. We could reject the second Keltner, head back down to the third, that kind of thing. A lot of these names. Moderna had a little upgrade, I think, this morning, but this name's been weaker than most right now, so definitely not dying for any kind of upside play on her today, but it's maybe worth watching that she's got a trend line from the highs, depending on where we open. If we can get through that, you could actually see some momentum. Already at the third Keltner down, so getting into oversold territory. Don't love Moderna, but there could be an opportunity there. Basically just, connect a line from your highs. If we can get through that, which it's kind of looking like I didn't get the right wick. There we go. Which would look like getting through about 172 or 4 by the time we get to open. Actually, little tip. Yeah, it would be getting up through to 174. Sorry. So, it could be a decent play, but I'm not loving Moderna lately. Microsoft from top of daily. Sorry, this is probably the daily. No, that's the 4 hour. 4 hour and 2 hour. From top to bottom. If we start to, I like this actually, we're hovering around these zones. If we start to lose this in the live session, it's a play down to the 300 level, psychological level that we've already pretty much bounced at, 299 after hours, and our big old compression clouds as support. So could be a slip there first, already kind of on that trajectory. If we can hold that 300 again, which I think we should, we can start a journey back. 302 zones to deal with, and 305, which is top of what looks like maybe an hourly that just started, a 30-minute that just started, sorry. So we've got a 30-minute bottom of which is down at that 300, 299, top of which is 305. So that's kind of the range to be watching today. Watching the 300 put, watching the 305, maybe the 302.5 or whatever. Netflix. I think everyone should trade this today, definitely. Moving on. Netflix is down 100 points. Leave it alone. Can it do something? Can it pop back? Yes. It's down a lot. Leave it alone. Nvidia. So we tap this 235. Ooh, starting to show some relative strength right now. Popping off a VWAP. So could see some chips love today since they're down so much. What is this? That's first, second. So it is pretty much at third Keltner at that 233. I know there are maybe some plans to hit the downside on Nvidia today, but keep an eye on that 233 level, which actually could step down to 230 potentially, just with the step down nature of these dailies. But anyway. Can Nvidia hold that 335, that 235, 233? Already looking nice here pre-market and could be breaking the downtrend from the highs. So yeah, 240s, 245s is probably the furthest I would play today as far as calls to watch. I know 250 seems like the target and can be appealing, and ATR-wise, we can get there, but every pullback, they're going to rip it out of these 250s, so I'll be looking to play the closer ones, 240, 245, and then watching the 235s, 230s. Let's see, QQQ. Yep, kind of the same as in Q. We've got our 30-minute squeeze and our range that is set. So I'd be watching these puts, 357-ish. Be watching these calls, 360, 362. And yeah, just which one's going to hold first, play off, to the other direction. Obviously, the way at least we kind of teach with once it hits these inflection points, start looking the other direction. It's not always like jump right in at the first tap of the zone, because we might need to go down and hit all these lows completely and totally test the cloud that's starting to form. And so, wait for some confirmation that we want to hold here and we're bouncing up, and that's when you can, take a shot. Just for the newer folks, always wait for some confirmation. But Qs, if we can hold this 356, 357, and hold it well, we can start making that trip to 360, 362. And if we can't get through 362, 363, we'll be heading back down. Just play off each other till you see, or till one of them breaks. That's kind of why we pivot off of one. So you're already in. You should be locking up and looking short and hedging short. If it breaks, awesome, because you're already in. If it doesn't, you lock up your calls, you ride your puts. We'll keep covering that, and hopefully it'll start making more and more sense to everybody. But those are kind of your zones today on QQQ. Oh, let's just skip on through SPY. Let's see, just double checking to see if there's anyone asking anything. Oh, can you guys hear me? Someone's saying they can't hear anything. Anybody, can you respond? Can you guys hear me? Okay, good, good. Yeah, someone was saying they can't hear a single thing, so that would have not been too surprising since we had our technical difficulties earlier, but I think everything's going all right. So, SPY. Got a nice zone here from the lows, kind of the same as what we saw in ES. Slipped and held the bottom of it and bounced already, so can we hold 442? We do have the 200, which will basically be at that 442. So it's kind of going to be the big line in the sand. If we lose 442, it could accelerate to the downside if 442 can hold, or this zone hold. So 442 up to 443. If that can hold well, we can start making our trip through 445, 48 to try to get back to 50. And we have the first, second, third Keltner that we're basically bouncing at here. So, this will step down a little. It should actually pretty much line up with this 442. So, if we can't get through that 446, 448, and we reject, you'd want to be playing back down to the 443, 442. So, Tesla was strong yesterday. I think, what was it, the 1050s were a good trade off of Beast, and off that 1000 tap in the morning. Oh, excuse me. Come on. There we go. But it held at 1,000. Didn't even really need to tap it. Took off through the pre-market high zone, and then a pullback for a retest. Got through the daily 8, which it rejected multiple days, and almost to the 21. But it ultimately topped out with the market, rolled back, settled at our zone top, and then the fade. I just cover all that to show that, even to the upside, you get your retests of key things like pre-market high and VWAP when they line up together. And, if you miss the top here, the next target down, look for it to consolidate because you can catch an entry there if you still think it's short, that kind of thing. But the 1,000 puts were a great trade yesterday. I think they hit beast here at the tops. So today on Tesla, we have this big old 4-hour squeeze still intact. Daily as well. So daily open. Yep, it's even further outside. So we've got a daily supporting at 940, 950. So that obvious psychological zone, we have a lot of support there if Tesla starts to dive today. It'd have to get through this 4-hour squeeze, which is pretty wide. It's going to be key support as well. But ultimately, if it gives out, 280 could go fast to 980, could go fast to 970. If it gives that out, could accelerate even faster to 940, 950. If it can hold 980 in this pre-market low, 982, and hold that well, we could see a reversal. Play back to 1,000, 120. It's basically the play. If it can't get through 1,000 and rejects, it'd be a play back to 980, 970, 950. But we'll see if this support can hold it up. And this first Keltner down. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's take a look in on VIX, because we have finally broken through this 23, 24 that we've been dealing with. Oh God, excuse me. Just keep yawning today. We had a big old daily compression cloud on VIX that is starting to fire up. That does not mean, obviously, that VIX has to keep roaring and jump all the way up to 50, but something to keep an eye on. It is up at the second Keltner and daily Keltner. The third is up around 30 in these key levels that we have pivoted at in the past. So keep an eye on VIX today, 27.5, 28. And basically this 29 region could be places or zones that we can't get through, and VIX turns. But if VIX keeps living above 26, we could easily go up and tap 30, which would mean more selling for the market. But as we have seen plenty of times, a squeeze can start to fire and then come right back, like with this 30-minute 1 hour. Fired and then came right back after hitting another one. With the daily and everything firing, we don't really have anything else except these key levels and this, psychological 30. So, keep an eye on VIX today. Going to be very important. Thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry for the late start and technical difficulties. Any names you want me to cover before we wrap this up? Thank you everyone that made it out to our first live stream. Got quite a few viewers in here. And yeah, the video will be posted right after the stream ends, so. Yeah, doesn't look like anyone wants me to cover any other names, so thanks for tuning in. See you guys in the chat today, and good luck. Size down. It's Friday. It's OPEX. We could just chop in this new range. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great trading day.